Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. In case you're new here, my name is Lorena and I love to share my recipes with you. And if you've been here before, then hello again. Today we're going to make an asparagus and cherry tomato quiche. I'm going to teach you how to make the dough as well as the filling, and I really think that this dough is worth your time instead of buying a store-bought one. So say you want to make a quiche for Saturday, you could do this on Thursday or Friday and keep it in the fridge, and on Saturday when you want to do it, then you can go ahead and roll it out as if it were store-bought. I've taught you once before how to make this quiche dough using your hands when we made a vegetable galette. I'll leave the link below for you to see that if you want to make it by hand. But today we're going to make it in the food processor because if you have one of these at home, then it will be much faster for you. As always, if you want to see the full recipe, then all you need to do is click on the link in the description box below, and that will take you to the blog where you'll find lots more recipes. Also remember that if you like this video, you can always put thumbs up to it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done it already. I'm now going to make this asparagus and cherry tomato quiche, so if you want to see how it's done, then keep on watching this video. Okay, so for the dough, in here I have already the salt and the flour, and I'm going to add these cold butter cubes. Make them into cubes because if you put the whole 100 grams in here, then your food processor is going to be suffering quite a lot. And after that, we're going to add an egg and a tablespoon of water and just blitz it in, and that's it, and it will be done and ready. What we get from this process is exactly what we get when we do it by hand. We get this sort of oaty, sort of sandy texture, and that happens because the butter has coated the flour, and that will make it really nice and flaky. That's why we have to do this first before we add in the other liquids. Our dough is looking lovely, and at this point you could freeze it for up to a month, and in my case I'm just going to let it rest for half an hour in the fridge so that the butter becomes a bit colder and we can roll it out easily. While that's going on, I'm going to cook my cherry tomatoes and my asparagus. In general, for a quiche, if you're doing a vegetable quiche, you need to pre-cook the vegetables first, because if not, they're going to release a lot of water into the mix for the quiche, and then you're going to have it really watery, and that's not the point. So we're going to confit it. I've already added here salt, pepper, and olive oil, and it's going to go into the oven for about 20 minutes on high, so about 180 or 200. In the case of the asparagus, in general with green vegetables, we need to blanch them or cook them in vapor with a lot of salt, because the salt, what it does is keeps the vegetable green. I've also removed the bottoms, which are pretty fibrous. I'll teach you in a second how you can break them apart to see where that break is. That's because each asparagus is a plant on its own, so they won't necessarily have the same breaking point as the next one. I'm also going to cut off the tips because even though the bottom part cooks in about a minute or a minute and a half, this top part would only take about 30 seconds. And we don't want it to become all wilted because it will then cook a bit more once it's inside the quiche. So this is how you know where the asparagus needs to be broken off its bottom. That's it. So this is the one that we're going to discard. Okay, so my cherry tomatoes are cooking behind me, and here I have boiling water with about a teaspoon of salt, which is for the asparagus, and here I have already prepared cold water with ice to shock the asparagus once they are cooked, so we stop the process. And the salt and the boiling, really boiling water is really important to keep the asparagus green. So these are very thin, so I'm just going to cook these for about 1.5 minutes and then the tips for just 30 seconds, and then take them out and put it inside the iced water. That's it, and you can see how they're really nice and bright green, and they have an al dente texture, which is what we want from asparagus. Now we're going to roll out the dough. We're looking for about 2 to 3 millimeter thick because we don't want it to be the main event. Definitely the main event is the filling. Now I'm going to put it inside my mold. To make sure that it goes into the corners, I lift it up and push down. Now I'm just pushing it against the edge so that it gets the fluted shape from the mold. I'm going to lift up that ridge that the rolling pin does when you put it through, and I'm going to cut that excess with a knife. Do not discard this extra that we get because you never know if you're going to need to patch it up after it goes into the oven, or even you could do some crackers with this dough. Now we're going to blind bake it. Blind baking means that we're going to put a bit of cling film. You could also use some tin foil for this. We're going to put cling film on top and then some baking beans. I have a mix between ceramic baking beans and actual beans. So I'm just going to put it on top, and then we're going to cook it for about 15 to 20 minutes or until we see that the edges are starting to get gold. That's going to make sure that it stays in its shape because the dough tends to shrink. I like to do a double layer of cling film because then I can take the baking beans out super easily. Of course, remember that once you've used these beans for blind baking, you can't actually eat them. So just make sure to have them in a container where you clearly label that they are not for eating, and you can use them over and over again. Okay, so I've just taken the quiche out of the oven. It started to get golden around the edges, and so I'm now ready to take out the baking beans. Be careful when you do this because even though the cling film isn't hot, the baking beans are, so just be careful not to burn yourself. Now it's the moment where we check for leakages and see if we are going to use the extra dough that we have. So I'm checking in here and I don't see any, so I think I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a second time in the oven until it's all really nice and golden. This process of pre-cooking the dough is basic. It doesn't matter if you're making the dough at home or if you've bought it, but it's basic because if you don't, then you're going to put the filling on top and it's not going to cook fairly underneath. It's not going to go golden or be crispy, which is what we want in a quiche dough. So now we're going to wait about 15 more minutes until it's really nice and golden all over, and then we're going to put our filling in. This is the base of my quiche filling. I think that the most important thing is that I mix Parmesan and Gruyere cheeses, and that is lovely. Just the combination of those flavors is amazing. And we have some cream and milk in here, and also an egg and an egg yolk. So we're just going to mix everything in, and that's the base for any type of quiche that you want to make. Then you can add the vegetables cooked in here or arrange them on top of the quiche. My quiche dough is now nice and golden. I've opened up the door of my oven because I need it to cool down to 140 degrees, which is the temperature at which we're going to bake our quiche, because in that way it's going to keep nice and moist and it's not going to puff up a lot before we can actually take it out. So right now I'm just going to put the filling in here. I'm going to try to arrange the asparagus and the tomatoes so that it looks really nice, and then it's going to go back into the oven, like I said, now at 140, so a lower temperature than before. Okay, so it's now been 40 minutes and here is our gorgeous quiche. I love how golden it is, and of course it looks puffed up now, but as the minutes go by it will go down. You definitely need this to cool almost to room temperature before you can eat it, because if not it's going to fall apart as you cut into it. So I would recommend probably change it onto another plate before you serve it, and that will help it cool down a bit. That was my asparagus and cherry tomato quiche recipe. I really hope you liked it. If you did like it, don't forget to put thumbs up to this video. It makes me really happy. Please, if you make this recipe or any other recipe from the vlog, don't forget to send me a picture or tag me on them, because I really love to see what you cook. Also, if there's anything savory or sweet that you would like me to teach you how to make, you can leave a comment below. I'm posting recipes every Thursday and Sunday, so if you don't want to miss any of them, then I recommend that you subscribe to my channel. It's free and only one click away. You can also follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook as Cravings Journal. Thank you so much for watching this video, and see you next time.